Hi, I wasn't planning on shooting today, but I received an interesting email from a young student. I guess he's a high school student or just about to get out of high school. And he wanted some information about how he could become a professional video editor. I guess he's talking more about along the lines of a freelance video editor. So I started thinking about it. I was going to wait until tomorrow. I normally shoot on Monday and Wednesday, but I thought ideas kept popping into my head. So I said, okay, let me go ahead and try to answer this young man's question. So what I did was, I'm right here on his email right now. I want to be a video editor. Da, 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 da. One of the first things I would say is you need to lay a foundation, a good foundation. You can start with any type of editing program that may have come with your Mac or your PC. Most of them come with some basic, very basic editing software. And when I used to teach editing, that's what I would tell students. Start with the free basic editing software that came with your computer. And if it didn't come with your computer, usually manufacturers of software have a very basic editing program for free. There are a number of ones out. There's this one called CapCut, which I started looking a little bit into. I think it's tied in with TikTok somehow, but there are a number of Microsoft has a very simplistic editing program. They keep changing the name. I forgot what they changed the name to now, but you can look all this up on Google. A lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about as I continue to do these videos, I'm not going to have all the information at my fingertips, but you can use Google to look it up and find the different programs that are available for free. And there are some really good ones out there. Let's get back to his question. So the difference between editing as a hobby and editing as a business is a big one. When you're editing as a hobby and you're doing it for fun, you're editing something together for your family or friends, or maybe you're editing some birthday party or something that you shot for a family member, that's where I tell people to start. I tell them you might want to just focus on editing, but you should also do some shooting, because that's going to help you learn what the footage could be like and can be like that you receive from a client to edit. Now, when you're editing for the fun, or editing, you're learning and you're editing for a family member, you have a lot of flexibility. You know, you're doing them actually a favor. If you say you're going to do it, you need to complete it. I remember I had some family members who wanted to do some editing years and years and years ago, and projects they still probably haven't completed to this day. People let stuff pile up, just like they used to do in the old days with their slides, and also the hard copies of family photos, and just have them in a shoebox in the closet. But if you're interested in editing, you need to sit down and dedicate some time to editing the free projects. Another thing that's interesting about the difference between editing as a hobby and editing for a business is that when you take something on for a business, even if you're just starting out, what I always recommend to people, and this is the way I started my business probably about 30 years ago. I started my editing business when I first moved out here to Los Angeles. I started working with nonprofit agencies, and I would shoot and edit content for them short. I would do short pieces for them for free. I did a lot of those as I was starting out, and that's a great way to learn. That's a great way to learn to work with clients and experience what clients' expectations are. When you're starting out and you're doing stuff, as they say, pro bono for a client, you want to still explain what you're going to do, what they're going to receive, and the length, and what will be included. And you also listen to the client. You find out what the client wants, what they expect. What I used to do when I first started out, I would get the clients to show me some videos that they liked. Now, this was in the early days. We didn't even have YouTube back then, so things were on VHS. So they would show me tapes of projects that they liked that were shot for other agencies, projects that they had watched that they liked. And, when I was new, I went to college for video, so I had much more experience than someone who wasn't formally trained in video production. And video production, it's still basically the same, as it was when I started. We just have, obviously now, much more technology, nonlinear editing, all the good stuff that we have available to us these days. But when I first started out, there were a lot of limitations that I had. Clients would see stuff that would require extra equipment that I didn't own back then. So I made them aware of that. And the same thing can happen today. If you're volunteering to do a project for maybe a church or a school or some nonprofit agency, you want to see what they like, And you want to tell them what your limitations are, what you can and what you can't do. So they won't be disappointed when you give them, a basic edit project, cut together. It might be cuts with some transitions, some few simple graphics that you can do with inside your free editing program. So be upfront. Don't disappoint them. As long as you let them know what you can and what you can't do. Editing projects to start with, to build your reel for free, is a great way to get started. Shooting editing samples, again, this is one of the questions too. One is shooting editing samples for building your skill. Yes, that's what I just went over. Shooting and editing. Always learn to shoot also. If you want to edit, you need to learn to shoot also. You don't have to specialize in shooting, but you want to be able to capture the content and then take the content that you shot, because you'll know it very well, and edit that together for the client, even if it's free or it's a favor. Let's see. Learn to sell your editing skills, not just the product. So again, what that means is when you're first starting out, and even also when you continue to move forward and your skills build, you want to lead with your skills. You want to lead with what you can do. Just like I said, when you're starting out, you want to tell them what you can do, and so they will be aware of what kind of edit you're going to give them. They won't be expecting, something they could see on, HBO or something like that out of a simple, small project. They'll be expecting a professionally cut together project based on the equipment that you have and the editing software that you have. So be upfront. Be upfront. Tell them what you have so you know what to expect. And as you edit, you'll learn more. And as you gain more skills and you get the more advanced software and you can do more stuff, maybe you'll go on to learn After Effects. Maybe you'll go on to learn color correcting. But you want to lead with your skills when you're trying to convince a client that you're the person for the job. Don't just sell, oh, I can edit this for you. You want to let them know what you can do, what skill set you have, and how valuable you are. So that's one thing you need to learn, to sell your skill, not just the ability to edit. So in this video, I'm going to do a series of these. They're going to be short ones. I'm going to do a series of these, and I'm going to break down these topics little by little so that you out there who are just starting, and this is a series I'm putting together just for, and it's free, series I'm putting together for very basic 101, you can call it, video editing. So I'm gonna have different topics, and I'm gonna break those down into each simple small video. So again, let's review what we just talked about in this one. So you want to be a video editor, right? I talked about you starting and learning the fundamentals. There are a lot of great books out there. I know I always recommend books, and people probably say, oh, what's he recommending books for? Why can't you just find it on the internet? But you can get the books off the internet. Amazon has a wealth of used books that are a fraction of what they cost, what I paid for them years ago. So you can go on there and search up video editing and look by the ratings and see what's good. Or feel free to drop me a line. My email is in the comments down there. And I will let me know what your level is, if you're just starting out, if you're a little more advanced. And I have tons of books that I can recommend based on the knowledge you need and the level you're at. If you're a basic editor, there are a number of basic books out there for beginning editors. And I just like the feel of holding a book in your hand and reading through the pages and learning the basics and the fundamentals. We have so many advanced tools available to us today that we just skip all that. And that's why you see a lot of editing that's not well thought out. It doesn't have a beginning, middle, and end. Now, I'm not saying the new styles of editing aren't important. Ultimately, when you learn the rules, just like a musician or anybody with a talent or a skill, once you learn the basics, then you can improvise. That's where greatness comes about. You know the basics, you know the fundamentals, and then you can take that to the next level and add your talent into the mix. So yes, I definitely recommend grabbing some of those books out there on editing, basic books on editing, how to put stories together, how to build tension, how to use cut-ins, cutaways, all the creative tools that you see, all the creative images that you see when you watch a standard movie or a television series. And also, that's another great thing when you're first starting out. Look at television series or maybe series that you've watched before and look at them with the volume down, so you're not being distracted by the music or the dialogue. Look and see how the editor cut these projects together. Take the time and look at it and watch scenes over if you really want this to be a career, because obviously editing is not going anywhere. I tell people, if you're in IT, if you're in physical trades like a carpenter or a plumber or an auto mechanic, or you still need to update your skills, but those skills aren't going anywhere. And I don't think, now I could be wrong, I don't think AI is going to completely replace an editor, a video editor, because it's art. It really is. When you're talking about a motion picture, it's art. The director has something in his mind, and if you're the editor and you're sitting with him, you two collaborate. And he talks to you, you talk to him, you try different stuff out, and you build the project together. And I guess ultimately one day the director will be able to sit with AI and edit his program together. But we haven't reached that yet. And we're not going to reach that for a while, knock on wood. But so you want to learn the basics. You want to learn the fundamentals. You want to watch television or DVDs or Blu-rays or streaming, and watch a show that you're familiar with. You know what's going on, so you're not going to be distracted by wanting to watch the movie for pure entertainment. You want to watch the movie for education on how this scene was put together, what the director and the editor chose to linger on, what they chose to cut away to, how long did they stay on the close-up of the person's face. When someone is talking and they're giving important information, maybe if they're in an interrogation scene, how long did they stay on the criminal and then cut back to the detective who's listening to them? How long did they stay on the cup of coffee that the detective bought the suspect? And also you'll see how clues are shown. Sometimes they'll cut away to something. They'll cut away to a screwdriver at the beginning of a scene, and you won't know why they lingered on that so long. But then at the end, he grabs the screwdriver and saves himself by stabbing the bad guy. So watch pros and watch what they have done with the scene. Watch how they move the story and cut to what's important and how long they linger on what's important. So this is just the first of a series of videos that I want to dig deep into about, so you want to be an editor. And there's a lot of information that I want to give to you. And feel free, I ask again, feel free to send me any questions that you may have. It's good to have that two-way street. I can answer these questions. And if I don't know the answer, I can find out where it is and where you can get it. And again, thanks to everyone out there who's continuing to subscribe to my channel. I've almost reached 500 subscribers. I'm on my way to the glorious number of 1,000. And I ask you to share my videos with anyone you know who may be interested in the field of video editing, in the field of directing, or the field of acting. I'm starting to populate my channel. If you start looking around at some of the playlists, I'm starting to populate my channel with some content that I've edited over the years that I find humorous. I work with a number of content creators who I edit for, and they allow me to use some of their content on my channel, content that I've edited for them on my channel to, punch up stuff that I want to point out that's you may not see anywhere else, because this is content that, doesn't get wide shared on the internet. Some of it's for, individuals or actors or something like that. And it may be on YouTube tucked away somewhere where you never will see it. But I like to highlight it because there are some great little comic moments that I get from a acting instructor who I edit for. And he has some great stuff, and I love to pull it out and showcase it. So thanks for subscribing. Forward me along to anybody that you know. Share my link on YouTube if you like, or on Facebook if you like. And stick around. The next one focusing on new editors and information that I love to give to new editors will be coming at you sometime next week. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.